Hey guys, welcome to the Big Fail podcast, where we aim to give you some quality insights behind the lives of successful individuals. We often forget that their hardships had also had an equal, if not greater, role in shaping their success. This podcast will tell you things you will only find in conversations and not books. We have with us today a very special guest who is quite literally a rocket scientist. He has worked at top notch institutions such as ISRO and BARC. He now runs his very own YouTube channel called Tor 4712, where he shares insights about further studies, gate exams, and tips on how to ace these exams. Ashish, welcome to the Big Fail. We're absolutely
Th-
indebted to have you on this podcast.
Thank you for having me, Karthik. This is kind of a long time ago I started doing these things, but there has been a break for 1 year or so, but it's good to do it again. I've been running my own podcast, three different podcasts for the last 6, 7 months, but it's good to be in someone else's show. So it's a good change.
We're very grateful to have you here, Ashish.
Yeah.
So let's get started. We have heard the quote, failures are stepping stones to success, countless times. Can you tell us what the quote actually means to you?
Uh, Failure, it is very much demonized in our society. Like, you should not be failing, and especially in Indian culture, like, failures are not applauded, but
Mm-hmm.
we should do that because failure is nothing but a tool. It is a tool for you to learn. It is the quickest way for you to learn something new. No teacher in this world can teach you. I can tell you the whole story of mine, and I can tell you stories of thousands of other people, but you won't actually learn it properly until you experience it. So life is the best teacher and failure would be the best tool.
Actually, that's very true. In India, especially, failure is kind of a taboo topic. People don't really talk about it. And once you fail, you're deemed as someone who cannot do anything good in life, which
that
absolutely is not true.
that is why entrepreneurship is so far behind in India. That is the
Hmm.
reason. Now it is changing. Obviously, there's absolutely no doubt that things are changing and things will become better with the population, the young crowd that we are having. It is going to become much better. But yeah, initially, if you look at the 90s and the early 2000s, then nobody was looking towards trying something new because they were all worried about failure,
Failing.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, a big thing about starting something new is that your name is going to become big. Let's say Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is thrown out of his own company. The problem is not that he's thrown out of his own company. The problem is that he first became very big, then he's thrown out. So that is a little bit more dagger to your chest, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
So moving on, when you attempted ISRO's December 2017 test, you had
yeah,
already been selected at BARC. So
yeah, yeah,
why
yeah.
did you decide to strive for another test when you already had good prospects at BARC?
Because that is the thing, like I always used to think like that, like job is not my objective. Job I will get, that is not an issue. If I wanted just a job, then I would be getting job straight after BTech. Also, I was having some options at that time also. I did very good when during my BTech. I knew mechanical engineering. I was good in talking and all. I could have easily gotten into private sector, gotten a job, but job was not my objective. My objective was always excellence. At that time also, I was having a kind of weird kind of mentality that I want to do things differently. Like, if everyone is doing, I'm not interested in doing that. The same thing was that in my college, the same thing was going on in BARC training school. So in BARC training school, everyone is running after rank 1 over there, trying to get the best posting and all. I said that if everyone is doing it, might not be worth doing. So let me do something different. And anyways, if you have a goal that I want to get into ISRO, which I had set a long time back before I even got into ISRO, got into BARC, then if you somehow try to subside it, bury it somewhere, it is not going to happen. It is going to stay with you. So my only options at that time was to try, according to me, I do not know how a lot of people gave up on their dream, because I know there are a lot of people in BARC training school also who wanted to get into ISRO way more than I wanted to get into ISRO. There were people who just dreamt about it when they were 13 years old, 14 years old. And when I was 13 years old, all I cared about was video games. And when I got into mechanical engineering, I found out that, okay, rocket science is the highest level of technology according to me. I want to get in over there. And I found out that dream somewhere when I was 22 and 23. And I found people who had those dreams when they were 8 years old, giving up on them just because they got a safe job. And that for me was traumatizing. That was really sad. I still look up to those friends who wanted to get into ISRO, still stuck in Department of Atomic Energy. And it's just sad that, okay, you are going to tell the whole world that you are doing this, but what do you tell yourself before you go to sleep? Right?
Yes, I think in India, especially the norm has been that when once you get a job, once you get stability, then people don't really want to go for
Yeah.
anything else. Yeah, they just don't want to experience something new because they already have a good job and they're stable with their
Yeah.
life, so they don't want to experiment and
You know,
fail at it.
I'll tell you a few. I'll tell you a few funny things. I know people who are earning more from their side income. Like they are having a government job, but side by side they are having an income from their side business as well, and they are earning more from their side business. They are keeping their government jobs only to get married, because otherwise they are not going to get married in an arranged marriage. Okay, I'm telling the story of Andhra Pradesh. So I know a lot of people over there who are just keeping their jobs to get a good marriage, because even though they are earning way more and they are way more successful, if they are not having government jobs, the chances of getting married is a little bit lesser. That's the truth. So that is all the old kind of things that are still going on, but hopefully things will change. Still huge amount of resistance. It was not easy for me to leave the government job. My parents were against it. My mother was not against it, but my father was telling me, see, it is a government job ultimately, and it's not like I'm from a different kind of family. It's the same middle class family. My father worked
Hmm.
for 30 years in a government organization, and it was huge resistance. I ultimately had to not listen to them and put the resignation letter down, right?
Hmm.
But people like us, I think things will change, the whole mentality will change. The problem is that people were not even knowing the reality. But now let us say at least there are 50 YouTubers who have left government jobs and are openly talking about what is the reality. Very few are actually talking, because out of those 50, 49 are like starting their own coaching institute, so they have to talk highly about those jobs so that
Jobs,
people buy their
yes.
courses. But reality is going to come out sooner or later, and people think that it is wonderful that I left ISRO. It is something that cannot be believed. I know people who left NASA and running YouTube channels, right?
Chance,
Have you heard of
yes.
Mark Roberts? Yeah,
No,
so
no, no.
jobs are going to be jobs no matter what you do. That's the thing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. So coming back to the ISRO 2017 test, what were your
Yeah,
expectations
yeah.
from the December 2017 test, and how did it go for you?
Okay, okay. I'll tell you the full story. It was somewhere around September, right? When the notification of ISRO came, and it had never happened before. Earlier, ISRO examination used to be once every year, that's it.
Yes.
And they were not failing to take in any year. Every year, there will be one examination of ICRB. And so happened in April 2017. That was the time after I did my coaching and all, 1 year after I graduated, and I failed in that miserably. And then I thought that, okay, next year in 2018 there's going to be one more examination, and I was preparing mildly for that, obviously, not knowing when the examination is going to be. So I said that, okay, gate is there, ISRO is most likely going to be there, so I'll prepare for that. And September, around 1 to 2 months after I joined BARC training school, all of a sudden a notification came that the examination is going to be in December. I said that this
Mm.
examination is most likely only designed for me, because I'm only in that situation who wants to just get out of this place. And according to me, I pictured that I'm going to be leaving BARC training school before the BARC training school ends. So BARC
Mm.
training school goes from 1st August, let us say 2017, to 31st July 2018, exactly 1 year. And
Mm.
I thought that before that ends, I'm going to leave this place because I knew that I had the skills. Now I had a confidence that I'm good enough to crack a research based job. I'm good conceptually. So obviously, I'm going to work on my numerical solving skills. I'm going to crack that written test. And obviously, I'm going to crack it. Right. And I will be leaving, if you go properly how they do the whole selection, I'll be leaving by March 2018. And thus
Hmm.
I do not need to care about BARC training school because I'm going to be leaving it, right? So I don't really care about the ranking. And I was highly confident about all these things, and I just missed it by 4 marks. So 4 marks basically means one question. That means
Hmm.
-1, -3. Every question has 3 marks. And I got 116, and the cutoff was 120. And now that was a great setback. And I was in great shock. And 2 to 3 days after the result came, my GATE 2018, which I was not that much focused towards, that examination was there, and I was already in shock. So I messed that examination also. And then I somehow got like 1 to 2 weeks of complete rest. There was a tour going on that they are going to take you from one center of Department of Atomic Energy to other, and you're going to visit. So those 2 weeks helped me to settle things down. There were a lot of personal matters and all that. It settled things out. And then when I got back, then I decided, okay, let's take charge, and I'm going to do what I do best. And then I cracked BARC written test again. For some reason, I just gave that examination again. And then it was ISRO. And ISRO, I filled two paper, RAC and this, gave both the examination, and all those examinations went very flawless after that. But yeah, the first December one, I was highly expecting that I'm going to succeed. And you look at it, it was just 4 marks. It was almost down to luck. And that
Yeah.
too, there were few questions that were wrong in that question paper. So it does not matter. Ultimately, something very good happened. I'll tell you a few things. That since I did not leave in March, I left in October, right? And because of
Yeah.
that, I saw the full cycle. I got a degree in nuclear science and engineering. I completed it barely. I was the last ranker over there, but at least I passed the examinations. Because
Yes.
after that, I knew once I failed in ISRO December examination, I knew that I have to stay over here. Okay. And then again, I will call it luck only that they immediately again posted another notification in February. I was not deserving that to get so many chances, but I did, and I took the full advantage of it. But I knew that I have to at least pass these examinations, right? And then finally I got a degree. That is one thing. But more importantly, after all that, I started guiding students to get into BARC. I started making videos on YouTube now, and I also made a
Hmm.
WhatsApp group. There were like 40 people in that, and I think out of that 13 to 15 people got selected. So
Oh
15, if
wow.
you say out of 40 in BARC, it is a big number because selection ratio is 1 is to 20, right? And if you can break it down to 1 is to 4 or 1 is to 3, that is humongous. But that is the thing about BARC. People were not even knowing how to crack BARC interview. BAR's interview was a myth. If you want to know the story of ISRO, yes, that was very drastic. But if you ever ask me the story of how you cracked BARC, that was mind boggling how I made myself believe that I can do that. Because before that, everyone I asked about how to crack BARC interview, they said that, listen, man, don't have much hopes over there. They're looking for geniuses. They're going to test you for 1 hour. And I don't think that anyone should have hope. And I said that BARC interview is the only job opportunity that I have. Other than that, in 2017, I had zero calls for any interviews till that point. And I said that if this is only one option, I have to give everything. The one happened to be very difficult, but it was not that difficult actually. There is a method over
Hmm.
there as well, how you can break the game. I studied it relentlessly for 1 to 2 months over there. I was sitting alone in my PG, I had nothing to do. I went through all the interview questions and found out what is the actual way to crack this interview. And that is what I translated to the younger generation 1 year later. And what is the cool thing that happened because of me failing in December? I got to see and meet those people who got selected next year in
Hmm.
2018. So
Yes.
I met those people who got selected next year, right? So I finally got into Mumbai, right? My final posting after August was there. So I was staying in that same hostel. It is called NBH, New Bachelors Hostel. It is in Anushakti Nagar. And coincidentally the new joining training scientific officers are also going to stay there only. So I was sitting in a room, and new young people were also there was roommate system, right? So one room there will
Huh.
be two people. So they coincidentally gave me the rooms that they gave the young TSOs. So one of those guys said, "Hey, are you new over here?" I said, "No, no, no. I've seen the whole cycle that you are going to see for one more year." And then the crowd started to gather, and they said, "Hey, I saw your video and you helped me out." And I said,
Uh,
"This is an amazing experience. This is
hmm,
completely
hmm, hmm.
different, right?"
Yeah,
Talk
that would
for
have been a very
hours
good
to those
feeling
guys.
to, have someone come to you
It
and tell that
definitely
your
worth it.
words helped me a lot. Yes.
Not some,
Us.
see, it started with two people who were my roommates, and we started talking, and that two people became three people, people became 20 people, and soon the whole room was filled. And we kept on talking for like 3 to 4 hours till I realized that I need some food to eat, right?
So it must be a great feeling, right? When in December 2017's ISRO test, you couldn't get it. You lost the opportunity because just 4 marks. But then later on, when you wrote the test
Mm-hmm.
again, you were able to pass and you got
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity finally. So I think one thing that's
Yeah.
common when someone faces a failure is a certain sense of hopelessness that, things didn't go according to plan. And that's the time when most
Yeah.
people start to give up. So, did you feel the
Hmm.
same when you wrote the December 2017 test? And how did you overcome this hopelessness?
No, I never felt like giving up. Every time next notification came, I was like the happiest person in this world. Every time I saw ISRO notification, I was like, I already cracked. That was the feeling that whenever I saw an opportunity, and I'm that person who might be in the worst case scenario. And if you show the tiniest ray of hope, no, I'm going to run for it. There's absolutely no doubt. And giving up, it was never an option for me. Obviously I had to sustain myself, and there was one point that somehow or the other I have to have an income. So because the BARC training school, that performance was also going downhill, and obviously the posting and all is going to get hurt very bad. But giving up, I don't think. And if you ask me why didn't you think of giving up? See, if I had to give up, I would have given up a long time ago. Don't you think so? I was a
Hmm.
bronze medalist from college, and I could have gotten any job. I failed in gate 2016, got 9008 rank. That is tremendously bad, and I could have taken any job. I would have given up. And 2017 also gate performance was very bad. I would have given up if I just had to get any job. After that in BARC I got, but ISRO I failed. I could have given up at that time, also settled with a BARC job or something like that.
Hmm.
Giving up is not in my mentality, has never been. And I would say that I was just like a kid. I was just like a kid that I want that toy, and I'm just arrogant about it that I want it. I don't care. And that is the thing about most of the people. Most people, they mature up too much. And I think it is written over here only, no? Be smart enough to be dumb sometimes, right? So you cannot always think about things logically, that this is a good job, this is going to give you a good future. What do you really want? And be childish about it. You want that, okay, run for it. It does not matter. Ultimately, if nothing else, you are going to get a life experience, because everyone else is going to act like all grown up, and they're going to do stuff that they think is logical. But ultimately, you have to satisfy the child in you, right? And that childish nature, that I want that, I don't care about the future. And I'm full
Yeah.
of ego, full of ego. Like more than that, it was ego that I've said that I'm going to do this. How the hell am I not going to do this? I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
and then we are going to see. So that was the thing. So giving up was not my thing. And I think things worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I think when you have a strong passion or a strong drive towards something, then even
Yeah.
n number of failures don't stop you from doing what you want to do.
Yeah, see, Karthik, that is what I'm saying. Everything is not that black and white.
Moving on, how important or how much does the luck factor come into play for these competitive examinations like ISRO, GATE, GRE, etc.?
Hmm.
I mean, merit is important. You need to have a strong caliber. But how important do you think, the luck factor plays in?
Uh, I would say that in competitive exams, luck factor always plays, and in life, luck factor is never any any playing role. not playing any role. Sorry about that. But in competitive examination, there's always luck factor. Why wouldn't there be? There's so many people, there are so many different variables that who is setting the examination, and
Exam,
there's so
yes,
many
correct.
variables with you, that how is that day going for you. So obviously that is all randomness, that is all luck. So obviously in every examination, luck is a factor, and anyone who says that is probably a topper. Okay, so most toppers, because they had the good side of luck, they're going to say that luck does not play a
Luck
factor.
never played.
Obviously, did luck play a factor when I failed in ISRO? Yes, it did. Did luck play a factor when I succeeded in ISRO? Yes. When I cracked that examination, then also luck played. When I cracked that interview, then also luck played a factor, right? But at the same time, there were two different examinations where luck did not play a good for me. So it is not like luck loves me. It loves everyone, but very rarely it plays for a person. That's the thing.
Yes. So, lastly, would you like to give a few words of encouragement to someone who has just failed, who just faced a catastrophic failure?
Hmm. Catastrophic failure. How to motivate someone who has faced failure like that? Hmm.
Yes.
That is kind of bad that I do not have an answer ready for that. But that is why I told you that let us keep this podcast and all unscripted, because I firmly believe that the answer that comes on the spot is the answer that you really believe in. So just give me a little bit of time to think about what would I say to a person who has just failed. To a person who has just failed, I will say you have not, you have just failed, and you have just learned. You have learned something that you would not know no matter what you have done if you would not have failed. And maybe it is not a time to turn back, but it is time to use that what you have learned to actually achieve what you want. So there's a lot of times when you have failed, but it you feel like I'm not good enough, that is why I failed. But a lot of times it is just a stepping stone. I was very very necessary for you to learn that, for you to succeed. So if I say that I want to achieve any xyz today, does not really mean that I have the capability to achieve. It means that I'm ready for the journey, and in that journey I'm going to learn those skills and have those capabilities along the way. And maybe one of the way of earning those skills that is necessary for you to achieve that xyz is that failure that is going to be along the way. So whatever you're having, I've always said failure is just a tool for you to learn things. And that's it. Other than that, it all depends on your passion. Do you really want it or not? If you want it, you are going to be finding the last few statements more than sufficient.
Yes. And in general, stepping stones, that makes sense only if you're actually learning from those failures.
Yeah,
If,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so as
Yeah,
long
see,
as,
I would say that you will always learn from your failures. Failures will change you no matter what. But few people who learn from it move forward, and few people gets beaten down by it. All right. So everyone does not take the charge to use those failures and to use it to move forward. But if you do, you are going to learn. And another thing is that learn from your successes as well.
hmm,
People often do not, this is the thing, the failure or success, they discriminate it, but they are actually the same once you understand that they are just experiences, and
yeah,
every life experience is going to teach you something or other, right?
yes, 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 very true. All right.
Hmm.
Thank you so much, Ashish. It was a pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure that your insights have been very helpful to all our listeners today. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you for having me, Karthik. It was a quick one and very precise one. And I wish you all the very best with your website and app that you're developing. Um, Good thing that you have started with podcasts and all. I've always loved podcasts and I'm doing it, but there's not a big market for podcasts in India. But obviously, it is going to be in few years. And podcasts are the best way because you are just having a conversation, right?
Yes.
And making a video, again, that is all adulterated. You are thinking too much before you talk, but in podcast you are saying what is actually in your head. That is the raw thing, right? So
Hmm.
if I had to listen to, let us say Steve Jobs is not alive, but Steve Jobs, it was here, and I wanted to know how he pushed to make Apple as big as it is today. then I would not like to watch a 10 minutes video where Steve Jobs is talking. After every 1 minute, there's a cut, and Steve Jobs is thinking a lot. What I would like to listen to. No, I would like to sit Jobs down and talk to him. What do you
Have a
really think?
conversation.
Have a conversation. And good thing about podcasts, I've been listening to podcasts since I think 2012, 2013, and I always loved it. And I have listened to hours and hours of podcasts because it also feels like you are the part of the conversation. It is not
Yes.
just you and me in this conversation. There's a third person sitting, and thousands of those third persons people, right? Okay,
Yes.
Karthik, thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ashish.